I'm excited on the Neil Haley show because, again, when I think of my guest and my other guest as well, I just really the story, because we don't have the whole story. So I'm excited to welcome the program from Abby Lee Dance Company, Abby Lee Miller, and also Dr. Hooman Melamed. Guys, thanks for stopping by. How are you to the Neil Haley show?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
And you're going to tell us the story of how Dr. Hooman has helped you and stuff like that, and how you guys have connected and some of the updates, plus some other updates from Abby Lee Miller. But again, when I think about it, my kids just watched you all the time. And I remember watching it from day one and saying, wow, something from Pittsburgh, we got to watch it. So very interesting, that Pittsburgh connection. But tell us the story, Abby Lee, of how you and Dr. Melamed connected and stuff.
Well, first, let me say, tell your kids to now watch my YouTube channel. Stop watching the show and watch my YouTube channel. Just it's Abby Lee Miller. All right. So when that Pittsburgh connection, when I was sentenced to a year and a day in prison, I, of course, devastated, you can't even stand up. And I went back to Los Angeles and I had to get my ducks in a row. And one of my ducks was my back hurting, my hip hurting. I can't sleep on the top bunk. I don't want to lift anything. I don't want to do any work that's hard. I need to get all these letters written so that when I get to prison, I'm okay. My knees were bad. I needed my knees done. So I went to the very highly regarded, the excellent, people fly in from all over the world to see Dr. Melamed. So I went to him primarily to get a letter that said, I don't want to do anything while I'm here. And I shouldn't do anything because I'm going to, break and fall if I do. So you want to take it from there, doctor?
Yeah, so she came, she had this back condition, lower back that, I call it something she had as a teenager where there was a fracture in her lower vertebrae in the back. We call it a pars fracture. She had this fracture, which, more people have it than they know it, actually. You're not even aware. It catches up to you sometimes in your 40s and 50s. And she had the condition, and I didn't think it was a good idea for her to be lifting, doing anything heavy and, any of that stuff strenuous. So I was happy to write a letter about that. And the plan was to, deal with it once she finishes her staycation.
Wow. Okay. And so what was your thoughts when connecting with him at first? Finally finding the right person for you, right?
Yes. Well, I went and he did x-rays, and, it's a very state-of-the-art facility that he has there in Marina Del Rey, and they pop right up in the office, and he could show me. He's like, look, you've had this since you were a kid, since you were a teenager. And it had to be spotting acrobatics and spotting gymnastics in the dance studio in Pittsburgh on Salzburg Road in Penn Hills. For years, that's what had to have done it. I had no idea. I just knew that when I was driving and I was in traffic, my right leg would go numb down the side of my leg. And it would bother me sometimes here and there, but that was it. It wasn't like this earth shattering thing. I just thought, oh, all right, okay. And it was good to know that I had something really legit wrong going into prison that I would keep me from doing whatever. But who knows? They can make you do whatever they want.
So that story came out almost in the last time you've been on television, correct? You brought up a little bit of that story in the last season you were involved in, right? I'm almost remembering the story.
Yes,
and then you made your comeback on TV after after the prison, and I watched that season with my daughters. Okay, and so I'm going to tell them about that. They're going to laugh. They said you've interviewed Carol Baskin and Abby Lee Miller in the last month and a half. Go figure, right?
Well, that's crazy. That's wild.
Yeah. So two just, characters that are misunderstood completely. And that's why I'm glad to have you on. But I mean, to think about discovering that, Dr. Melamed, if you weren't able to do the surgery, what would have happened to Abby Lee?
Oh, no, you're jumping way ahead.
Way ahead. Okay, continue. Okay.
Right. So I go to prison.
Okay.
I get out.
Okay.
And I'm out 6 days. I get a pass to go to church on Easter Sunday. That was April 1st
Okay.
of 18, I
Okay.
believe. And then I have a headache and I don't feel too good. I think, oh my God, I'm getting a sinus infection. I need a Z-Pack.
Right.
So that was on April 3rd. I had to get permission. You have to draw a map. You're living in a halfway house.
Right.
You got the murders on one side and the
Wow.
rapist on the other
So
side.
you did not get in country club prison then?
I did, but yes, I did. But when you get out, well, there's no country club prison, no. But it wasn't bad. And then it wasn't bad because the girls were lovely. The guards were idiots. So I get out and then a week later, but when you're in a halfway house, you're with everybody.
Okay.
Wow. It doesn't matter where they went or what they did, you're all together. And it's nuts. I have a TV show I'm actually pitching about it. Okay. So I started and I went to the urgent care to get a Z-Pack.
Okay.
And I walk in and I said, hey, and the doctor said, oh my God, you look fabulous. She went to Pitt. So there was like a connection. And I'd seen her a couple of times before. She's like, you look fabulous. And I said, well, I'm no longer a diabetic and I'm no longer on any thyroid medicine. I'm cured. She looked at me and she was like, Abby, once a diabetic, always a diabetic. It's just how you treat it. And I was like, oh, well, the prison doctor took me off all of my medication. Cold turkey on January 26th. Cold turkey. Took me off of everything. 2 months later, I have a horrible pain in my neck. I think, okay, so I had a headache, I had sinus issues. Now my jaw is numb. The next day I go to a dentist. Nothing's wrong with my teeth. The next day I go back to the urgent care. She wants me to come back in. I walk in. She's like, I can't believe you're walking in here. You should be in a coma the way you look right now. And I'm like, what? She never saw lab results like that. Now, Dr. Melamed's on here. The more I think about it, doctor, why didn't that woman put me in her car? Why didn't she take me to the hospital herself? Why didn't she call an ambulance and say, you're going in right now for an MRI? Like, why wasn't something done then?
And I'm unfortunately, we've talked about it. There was, the MRI should have been done way before you saw me that day. So, multiple times, multiple people, they completely dropped the ball and they wouldn't, remember you came to do an MRI, you couldn't lay down. So I was like, okay, go to the hospital. There's something should have been done,
But I did
before.
go
I remember the pain got very bad. Like, had you have not the pain get that back that day when you saw me, you would have been able to have an MRI like before, and we would have figured out the problem much sooner.
Well, I would have had an MRI that day with her, or the next day when I went to the Hollywood Presbyterian Hospital for 3 days and they never did an MRI. And then I went back into the emergency and they would have done an MRI. And I would have went to Dr. Who did the lap band, Dr. Russo, went to him. He could have had an MRI done. So Neil, after every single day, I went to a doctor for 7 days. Every single day I was either in a hospital, an ER, or I was begging somebody, screaming in pain. And then when I got to Dr. Melamed, I could not lay down on his MRI machine. I couldn't lay down.
Oh my God.
I was in too much pain. I was screaming. I was sweating. My arms didn't work. I couldn't lift anything. He can take it from here.
Yeah, she was screaming and she's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. We had the MRI scheduled. She went downstairs and she was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I said, Abby, I can't. I think there's something going on. I don't think you're faking this pain. I don't think this pain is, you're crazy. I think this is real pain. But I cannot just let you go. I might as well just admit you to the hospital. We got to get this MRI done. We admitted her through the ER to get the MRI done. And, the problem was, again, in the hospital, they were trying to give her some sedation, some medication to help with the pain, but nothing was helping her pain. So she could not lay down still to get the MRI done. So we did everything So she came in on Friday night, and then on Saturday, she started having some numbness, a little bit of a weakness. And then from basically Sunday, it got a little worse. And then from Sunday night, around 8 to 9 p.m., by the time it rolled Monday morning, she had completely became pretty much paralyzed, like from a neck down, couldn't move anything.
Oh my God.
And then at that point, we're like, okay, we need this MRI. She can't do the MRI. So let's try to transfer her. And then while the commotions was going on to transfer her out of Marina Hospital to go to another hospital to get, MRI with anesthesia sedation, because they could not do it with the sedation at Marina. Then her blood pressure started dropping down. I had another doctor coming for second opinion, and he was like, no, we can't transfer. He agreed, we can't transfer. We need to do something. So we ended up doing a CT myelogram. Even though she couldn't lay down, they had to kind of put her in her, normally when you do myelogram, you lay people down like a normal MRI, whatever you do. She was in so much pain, they couldn't. I remember the guy calling me saying, dude, she can't. I said, you know what? I don't care. Dude, she is not going to make it. Her blood pressure is plummeting. Something is bad is going on. We need to have some visualization what's going on. Meanwhile, Abby was like, let's just go in the front, do something. I was like, Abby, I can't. I don't even know what is going on exactly. And they ended up doing what's called a myelogram, where they put a dye, inject the dye into the spinal canal. So it lights up the nerves and everything that's going on. And they kind of put it in her, she was on her side, not laying down, sort of on her side, sitting kind of in an awkward position. They were able to get it in while she was screaming in pain with the pain. And the radiologist came back and right away to me and said, look, something bad is going on. I don't know what it is, but her entire spinal canal from her bottom of her neck to like the top of her lower back is like completely blocked off. Like there's something like blocking their entire spinal canal over like 12 segments, which is insane. I'm like, wow, this is insane. So I'm like, we're going to the OR right now. We're losing her. We got to go to the OR right away. It was like around 11 o'clock at night. And we roll her to the operating room until about 5 in the morning. And we open up from the back. And sure enough, there was this, at first, everybody thought it was an infection. Everybody's thinking this is an infection. Nobody's thinking this is a cancer. A cancer that can go within like 24 hours. Infection can act like that. So as I'm opening it, we started opening, and I'm like, this does not look like an infection. Doesn't look like a pus. It was this weird, cheesy stuff, like this weird. I'm like, wow, this is like definitely not infection. Whatever is going on, I have no idea what this is. So I called the pathologist. The pathologist came. We gave. And then that's when the subsequent report came back that this was Burkitt lymphoma, which is extremely, extremely rare. You see it in young African Americans. You don't see it in people of her. Like, this is like a case report. Like what she had, to the extent she had it, like a case report. It was like completely very, very wild. I mean, she walked into the hospital on Friday on her own powers. And then within 12 hours on Sunday night to Monday morning, she was like paralyzed, basically. It was insane.
Wow. And what caused it? Do you know?
The cancer, it was a very explosive growth. I think when she had the pain initially a month and a half before, the cancer was brewing and it was growing, and then finally the cancer like wrapped around the spinal cord like a chokehold and cut off everything. It was just very like a wildfire. It's like saying somebody putting like a gasoline, like you just asked gasoline to fire. That's how fast the cancer grew. Well,
I've done some research, not too much, because that's just not who I am. I trust my doctors. Not anymore. Not anymore. Not after those first few doctors that just said, go home and take it easy, honey. Right. You'll be fine. Now, they caused all that. But I think it was the prison doctor taking me off the medication, which sent me what they thought to be a thyroid storm was never a thyroid storm. My blood looked crazy. My lab results were nuts because it was Burkitt lymphoma brewing, and Burkitt lymphoma lasts, it's, between 3 weeks and 8 weeks. You start to see symptoms at 3 weeks. At 8 weeks, you're dead. So I was like between 5 and 6 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and it's very rare. It's found in Africa in little boys under the age of 10, and it's fatal. And
Yes.
me, and me. So I'm not sure. I really, in my heart of hearts, don't think that's actually what I had. I think that's the closest thing that the lab came back with to treat it with the chemotherapy, that's what it was. It's caused by malaria. It's caused by mononucleosis. They kept telling me I had mono when I was a kid. I'm like, I never had mono. I went to Mendel Silverman in Squirrel Hill. He was my doctor. I went every week for an allergy shot. I loved him. At 22, he said, you got to quit coming here. I'm a pediatrician. I didn't have mono. If I had mono, I would have known it.
Yeah.
All right. So, and I went to Little Shoe Store and got my shoes and my Baskin Robbins and got my ice cream cone. So I know I didn't have mono, and they're trying to tell me that's how I got this all this years later. I think it was the stress of being in prison, not getting out when I was told I was getting out, time after time after time. I think it was the getting out and having the pain in my neck and nobody listening to me and me crying out for help and questioning the doctors and going back and back and back and them never doing anything. Then by the time I got to Dr. Melamed, it was almost like it was too late. Had I gone to see him first, I'd have a different life right now, you know? So it's been nuts and it's been hard, and he doesn't like to hear this because he had to jump in and save my life, but dying is easy. Laying in that bed with your heart rate was, I believe, 23/17, your blood pressure.
Blood pressure, yeah. Blood pressure was very low. Like it was like, low when somebody's about to die.
So
Yeah.
when did the surgery take place?
Like at midnight on that Monday. I never
What date?
forget. Midnight on
April
Monday.
17th. April 17th.
What year?
Was it 18?
Yes.
2018.
2018.
Wow. And you never thought, Abby, after that all happens, then COVID comes, right? As another storm.
Well, everybody was freaking out about COVID. I'm like been laying around in a bed for 10 months now. It's not like, can't you guys just watch TV and shut up a little bit,
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a big deal for me because I had the cancer. So I did 10 months and I would do 7 very invasive rounds of chemotherapy where I had 24-hour bags. Then I had a spinal tap where they would dig into your spine with a needle and take out the spinal cord fluid and then shoot the chemotherapy in. Then a lumbar injection where it goes up your tailbone and around your brain. And then just the thing they stick on your stomach, they shoot you with, and all kind of scams. And then I hated it. I hated every minute of being at Cedars. I hated every minute of the chemo. And then I would leave there and I went to a wonderful place called California Rehabilitation Institute in Century City. And I would be there for 21 days. And I couldn't lift a pen to write my name. I couldn't eat. And I've since learned that my therapists there, who were wonderful, that they didn't think I'd ever get out of bed. They never, ever thought I would walk again, ever. And they worked hard with me. And then I went back to Pittsburgh. I shot season 8. I went to, what's the big rehab place out in Fox Chapel? Harmerville.
Yeah.
I went to Harmerville Rehab while I was shooting the show. And a wonderful woman there told me, I think if you get this knee replaced, you're going to walk again. And I was like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm going to get back to LA. I'm going to get my knee replaced. Found a wonderful doctor there. He does 36 knees a week. And he replaced my knee. And I was walking, like with the walker, but I was working on it every day, diligently every day. And then during COVID, Dr. Melamed, we did the old surgery that we were supposed to do. Originally, when I went to him that he found, we went ahead and did that surgery. And that has not worked out too well because my bones are so, I don't know if the word is brittle. He'll have to correct me. The bones are porous, the bones are bad, the bones are brittle. And I had some complications after the surgery.
Dr. Melamed, anything to add to that? about the
Yeah,
bones?
so we finally decided to do the original surgery that we are planning before, and we did the surgery. One thing that has happened, unfortunately, uh, because of all the chemotherapy and the radiation, but really chemotherapy, it had weakened her bone. I mean, her bone quality was not that good. So we did the surgery. She was doing okay the first week, and then I
Wait,
remember about
tell them
what
what the surgery was, though, what you did.
I'm sorry.
Tell them what the surgery was, what you
Oh,
did.
so the surgery, typically, so she had as I said, she had the fracture at the bottom, the vertebrae, and it had caused it to slip. So the vertebrae had slipped forward, and it was bone on bone collapse and was compressing the nerve very badly. So you had to go in, basically remove the collapsed disc, put a spacer in there to open it up. So you put a spacer in there, you open it up like this, and you put screws in the back, you pull it back in place. So we went in the front first. This is how I like to do it. We go in the front of the abdomen. You go from the front, and you remove the disc. You put the spacer in. That opens up the space. So there's room for the nerve now. Then you go in the back, and you do a decompression, remove the pressure, more pressure from the bone, and you put screws and you pull it back. So we did all that, and at the time I remember I was like, her bone quality is not as good as what I remember at the time when we did the original surgery, when we had to do the emergency surgery, her bone quality was solid. She had rock solid bone. This time the bone quality was not as good. So 7 days after the surgery, or so 8 days after, she's like, I don't know what I did, but I have this excruciating pain now. I'm like, we get an x-ray, didn't really see a whole lot. She was at the rehab. We're like, okay, let's continue with the rehab. Meanwhile, she's in pain. She's in so much pain. She can't walk. When she tries to walk, excruciating pain. So finally, I'm like, let's get an MRI. Let's see what's going on. We get an MRI, and lo and behold, she has developed what we call insufficiency fracture in her sacrum. So both sides of the sacrum, she had developed a fracture. And not only that, the vertebrae had shifted again, and the screw was already loosened up. So obviously that was not a good situation. She's in so much pain and everything's shifting. So I had to take her back to surgery. And this time I had to put cement, literally like a cement, into her bones to put more anchors in there and put more screws in there to get better fixation. So anytime you had fracture, the key is to get as many fixation points so you can spread the load across so the fracture to heal. So you had to put screws, big screws into her pelvis. We had to put screws higher up, had to do additional cage at the level above, put more cement in there, and to reinforce everything. So that's what we ended up doing. And I know she's in still a lot of pain because of those big pelvic screws. So they're really bothering her. But good news is that the recent x-rays we've gotten, everything looks good. It's just, the problem is that we can't go in and take those screws out too early right now because we got to allow things to heal properly first. What was in October, I think we did the surgery. So
one in September 30th, and then the revision was November 30th.
November. Okay, so we're about 6 months out. So we have to get, at some point a CAT scan, make sure it's healed before we can take those big screws out of the pelvis. So that's what's going on right now.
Neil, Neil,
Yes.
Nobody is going back in to put anything in. They can only take stuff out. They went right into my stomach and did not suck any of the fat out. And when I came out of prison, I had lost 127 pounds.
Right.
I worked really hard. I looked good, and I walked the track, and I did the exercises. I did the leg lifts.
Right.
I worked really hard because you have nothing else to do. I read 150 books and lost 127 pounds, So it was like the bad Girl Scout camp. Like your parents dropped you off at like the cheap camp without the horseback riding and the swimming. It was like the other one, And so I came out and was all ready. I actually had the surgery planned to do the tummy tuck and the boob reduction and all that, and ended up with cancer choking my spinal cord and
oh my goodness,
in a wheelchair. So now he goes in the front and makes a big line scar right across my gut. And I'm like, it's COVID. Everybody watches a YouTube video and they just figure stuff out. Here I have, is it a thoracic surgeon or some other kind of surgeon, and Dr. Melamed, both in there. and nobody can suck the fat out of me. I'm like, come on. These are like world-renowned
Yeah.
surgeons. They can watch a video and figure it out. Come on, guys, help me out here. Nope, nope, nope. So I've made up my mind that we're not going back in again unless it's to make me beautiful. That's it.
Oh my. Okay. We exclusive here.
So, do we want to tell Dr. Melamed what's happening right now?
Yes.
Or do you want to talk about something else?
I would like to, we're going to talk about this in this interview. What just happened to you a couple days ago?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's surprise, surprise. Exclusive here on the Neil Haley Show.
I wish I had some pictures to show them up.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
yeah, wait, keep talking. Give me.
Okay, exclusive here on the Neil Haley Show. Abby Lee Miller off air tells me, and she comes in. Really, I'm like, wow. I mean, I've seen her on television, all these different things. She's, hey, Neil, thanks for having me, but I have to tell you something. And she told me all this great stuff that happened to her, and she has to tell us this, but then I had an accident. So, exclusive here on the Neil Haley Show. What happened?
Well, I was in the swimming pool and can you see that?
Wait, you got a cut? Is that a cut?
It's a shark bite.
From where? On your thigh?
That's my leg.
How did you get that?
I broke my leg in 2 places.
Are you serious? I mean, what? When?
Sunday.
Sunday 2 days ago.
No, Sunday, 9 days ago.
How? You fell in the pool? Like, I don't understand.
I was doing, I know who gets hurt in a pool. Nobody. I was doing my aquatic therapy in the pool, and I flew here by myself on the plane. By myself. I used a walker, no aisle chair. I walked step together, sideways down the aisle and got on the plane, but flew myself.
Wow.
I'm so proud of myself.
No, that's amazing. Okay, go on.
Isn't it amazing?
Are you kidding me? This is like you've never done this since that emergency surgery to this extent.
I've never gotten hurt in my life. I've never broken a bone in my entire
I'm saying
life.
you walking like this by yourself.
Oh, yeah, it was so exciting. I was so thrilled. And
no, I'm telling you, you're making progress. That's fantastic. Okay.
I flew all night on the red eye, and I thought, how am I going to get up? I'm going to be swollen and sore and tired. I did it. I got up. I got off the plane. I got into my chair, and away I went.
Wow.
And then 2 days later, at all these plans, all these dance events, visiting all these dance schools, old friends I haven't seen in so long, and I was at the pool at the hotel, and I was doing my therapy. I did my swimming. I did my walking on water, walking through the water, and then all the beautiful steps. So I stepped up together, down and down and down, did it again. Then I said to my friend, I want you to videotape me. So I went up, and I tried to get up the 4th step, and I got up it. It was a struggle. It was rough because by the time you get to the top, you're out of the water. You don't have the water helping you. So I got up there and I stepped up, and then I went to step down. And when I took the 2nd foot off, I couldn't clear my hip. Like I couldn't lift my leg high enough, and it like slapped into my other leg, like smacked it, and it crunched underneath me.
What do you mean crunch underneath you? I don't. You telling me that the leg just like without you falling down, it kind of just broke, like just standing up like that?
Wow.
Yes.
So you telling me, so is the leg that what you showed, is it your tibia? Is it between your knee and the ankle, or within your thigh bone?
It was the tibia and the fibula.
Did they put a rod in there?
Yep.
Wow. So I'm just trying to understand. So you went on the 4th step, and then all of a sudden you're telling me.
No, I went on the 4th step and I was standing fine. I stepped down from the 4th step on my right leg.
Did you twist? Did it twist like that? Did it twist, or you just
like? Yeah, it twisted. It was.
So you like didn't fall, and it was not. So it was not a fall where you directly hit it.
No, it was.
So it was a kind of a twisting thing, and it snapped.
Yeah, it was underneath me, like one leg crossed over the other.
Wow. I mean, wow. Where did you have the surgery? Was it, this is in
I had to come to, I went to the Orlando ridiculous nonsense, and they said, oh, you have to stay here for 7 days till the swelling goes down till we can do surgery. And I texted my PT girls from California rehab, and they said you need to get to a level 1 trauma unit, get yourself out of that hospital right now and get down to Tampa General.
Yeah, sure.
Is a level 1 trauma unit. So that's
very good trauma center there. Yeah.
Yeah. And they did the surgery that night, the next morning.
Great. Okay.
Wow. I was all night in the ER. I was all night in the ER, and they took me right in. I never even went to a room. I went from the ER into surgery.
Where is the fracture exactly? Like where?
Below the knee replacement.
Below the knee replacement.
The knee replacement.
So below the knee so it's not around your ankle.
No, I'll send you the pictures.
Wow. So below the knee replacement, I mean, normally when that happens, they have to go put a plate on there. They have to go put a plate on there with screws and sometimes a wire, screws and stuff like that to lock it in place. It's usually a spiral fracture.
I did a really big number on it. And the problem is I can't bear weight on it for 3 months.
No, you can't. Unfortunately, you can't. Who was the doctor that did it? Was it, I know a doctor.
Mir. Just Mir, not
There's
a
doctor there, very famous down there in Tampa. It's Dr. Roy Sanders.
Roy Sanders. I'll ask about him.
This is the most interesting interview, letting your doctor know, Abby, that you got hurt. That's great. I love it. This is great television.
She has my information. I can't believe she didn't tell me. I'm like completely shocked. I was like,
well, I didn't have your information. I could call you anytime, day or night. Dr. Melamed and I have spent hours and hours and hours. He would come to.
I don't know why you didn't tell me. I don't understand.
I'm embarrassed, and I'm upset, and I'm angry, and I did it myself. It was stupid. And
I don't understand why you wouldn't reach out to me. I could have to, whatever. I could have tell you those things. You didn't have to, whatever. I could have found the doctor there. I mean, I'm sure the doctor is a good I could have found you the best orthopedic traumatologist, whatever it took, to make sure it was done. I mean, it's just like, what a
it happened very quickly. It was very quick.
Wow.
And the
only thing I wanted to do was get to the cemetery to visit my mom and dad for Memorial Day. And then all these friends were in Miami, Rebel Wilson, like everybody was in Miami and for the weekend, and I was stuck in Tampa in the hospital.
Would you have been in Miami if it wasn't? Would you have been at the fight? You didn't miss anything.
What fight?
The fight in the fight in Miami, meaning oh my gosh, the YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, Jake Paul and Mayweather.
Yeah,
I might have been. I don't know.
There was the who's who of celebrities there. Trust me.
I probably would have just been the parties surrounding it.
There's tons of parties. I mean, yes, I was just thinking that. Okay, so that's a great way to go back to now. Let's so we're all going to be keeping you in our prayers that you're going to be better. And again, another thing to recover, but you're going to recover and you're not done yet. So what's new with you? What should we check out now after the whole story is Dr. Melamed's like, what just happened in this interview? I am blown away, but guess what? I'm used to this because this is what I do. But especially with the whole now with social audio, you got to be ready for whatever. But Abby, what's new with you now? To update you, and then we're going to get into
probably the quickest thing I have coming out is a documentary that I've worked on months and months ago, and it's finally, it's almost there, and it exposes the prison doctor, everybody that misdiagnosed me, all the way through, naming names, telling it all, because I need to tell my story. There's too many women, too many people don't listen. When you go to the ER, when you go and you ask for help and you know your body. I had an experience actually here at Tampa General because I needed a Z-Pack. I was getting a sinus infection and the doctor wouldn't give it to me. She wouldn't give it to me. She wouldn't give it to me. I ended up with 102 fever, coughing my head off here and everything else over a damn Z-Pack. Then I had to have chest x-rays. Then I had to have breathing treatments. And I had all this expense incurred by my insurance because she couldn't spend $30 for 5 little pills that the patient was asking for. It's ludicrous. You know,
Why
I grew
wouldn't
up
she
in
give you
Pittsburgh.
antibiotic? Why wouldn't she give you antibiotic if you're having like starting to have like, you know, upper respiratory infection? I don't understand.
When yellow stuff's coming out of your nose and up out of your throat, you have an infection.
Right.
And I know this. I grew up in Pittsburgh. Every fall and every spring, I was sick. My dad used to sit beside my bed with the Vicks vapor rub, putting it on your chest, making sure you were still breathing. You know what I mean? We had that. We had the hay fever and the ragweed and the pollen.
All of it. Yep.
And mine turned into bronchitis, period. I knew this, and it hasn't happened since. I have not been sick since the spinal cord injury. Not been sick one day in 4 years.
Wow.
Until I get here to Tampa. So anyway, that was an issue. But so I have a documentary coming out. How Lifetime Ruined My Life. No, I'm kidding. That's not the name. That's not the name of it. That was tossed around, but that's not the name. And then I am pitching 2 shows. One is a scripted show, you know, dance, the whole deal. And then the other show is a reality show, but it's about the halfway house and about what goes on and about how you might be in a prison camp that's white collar and you're with people that are attorneys and insurance agents and real estate agents and they got screwed, right? But when you get to the halfway house, you're with everybody. You could come out of the penitentiary and be living next to, you know, an attorney in the halfway house.
My goodness. Yes. So anything else? Let's go to Dr. Melamed. Where can we find information on you? Where's the best place to connect with you?
No, the website, the spinepro.com. I don't know if my shirt shows it here.
You see
Spine
it?
Pro.
Yep.
The Spine Pro, spinepro.com, the spinepro.com.
All right. Awesome.
Look me up, or you can type my name, Marina Del Rey, California.
We're both on social media, so you can find us.
I think we can find Abby everywhere. Come on now, Abby.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, come on.
But
That's
we need
just like
everyone to follow me. You have to go to my YouTube and you have to subscribe. Come on, swipe up, subscribe.
yes,
Yeah.
because that's your place now. That's where you can find your show, right? Or where you're doing everything is.
Yeah, that's where I'm doing everything. And I'm doing quality work now. You know, it's not screaming and yelling and this and that. It's really educating children. And I do a lot of stuff about interviews, teaching young kids how to walk into an interview properly, how to prepare themselves, conduct themselves, how to speak eloquently and passionately about their craft. All those things they don't teach you in school, you know, that you learn in dance class. And now, you know, they don't even really base on that anymore. So, and I teach dance classes all over the world, worldwide, every Sunday. I am teaching kids in Guam and Mongolia and Germany, Ireland. They're all on there, and I teach Zoom, and it's amazing because the language of dance, you know, is all written in the French language. So if you know your terminology, you can take the dance class from anywhere. So it's been amazing during COVID, and I'm just going to keep it going because it's great.
Exactly. And you don't have to have a building. That's the great thing of online all over the world.
I know, but I do have those buildings.
Yes.
And I am paying for those buildings. So if anyone in Pittsburgh is interested in a building on Salzburg Road, maybe a young dance teacher that wants to have her own studio now, please hit me up.
Exactly. And the fans of yours in Pittsburgh would definitely want that. All right. Well, we appreciate it. Abby, we appreciate it. Dr. Melamed, and thanks guys for stopping by the Neil Hale Show. So take care, guys.
Thank you. Thanks to Stammer.
Thanks. Take care. Okay. Bye.
See you. We'll talk to you. Thanks. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.